I'm David Wu from the Poituk Center.
我是吴长义，是培德中心的主任。
And Poituk Center's Immigrant Welcome Center hosts workshops such as this one tonight and assists immigrants and others with limited English skills solve their daily problems and gain access to the resources that they need.
培德中心的移民服务站呢，它是为侨胞们在英语上呢有困难的，提供他们每天那些日常呢是需要的难题，帮他解决。然后呢，也把所有资源呢介绍给他们知道。
I want to thank all the co-hosts for tonight's event.
我今天晚上特别要谢谢参加活动所有联合主持人。
This includes the Coalition for a Better Chinese American Community, which translated the PowerPoint into Chinese.
第一个是华埠更好团结联盟，它是帮我们呢在这个今天晚上的文稿呢，把它从英文呢翻译成中文。
Yeah, Second District State Representative Teresa Ma.
第二区马静怡女士是伊州州议会第二区的州议员。
The 25th Alderman Byron Sigjo Lopez.
25区的区长卢汉士先生。
The 11th Ward Alderman Thompson and Cook County Commissioner Daly's Service Center.
11区的区长唐信，还有库克县的专员戴利。
The Chicago Chinatown Chamber of Commerce.
知城华商会。
Chinese American Museum of Chicago.
芝加哥美洲华裔博物馆。
Chinese American Service League.
华人咨询服务处。
Midwest Asian Health Association.
美亚健康协会。
And Project Vision.
和愿景项目。
Yeah, throughout this evening, you could post your questions in Chinese or English or Chinese in the chat, which is being moderated.
今天晚上的任何时间，如果你有问题的话呢，可以在聊天室呢发表你的问题中英文都可以。
So our first speaker tonight is Fritz Kagi.
我们今天晚上第一位发言人是Fritz Kagi 先生。
And he has served as a Cook County assessor since 2018.
他自从2018年以来呢，一直担任库克县地产税务评估部长。
As this is the first reassessment of the South Chicago Township under his watch, we greatly appreciate that the assessor and his staff reached out to our community.
由于这是他监督下呢，对南芝加哥区的第一次重新评估，我们非常感谢评估部长呢和他的工作人员呢向我们社区伸出援手。
They want our community to better understand the assessment process and learn how to appeal property tax, the property tax assessment.
以便我们更好的了解评估过程，并学习如何对地产税评估提出上诉。
Yeah, thank you, Assessor, for joining us tonight.
谢谢，请
David, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you everyone, 谢谢 to everyone who brought this group together here today, including our co-hosts of the Coalition for a Better Chinese Community. Thank you for translating the materials, the presentation deck, and Victor, thank you for your translation services here tonight.
You're welcome, Mr. Kagi. 我首先我谢谢吴先生为我介绍，还有呢各个地区在市区的所有的机构呢来举办这个协会，对我们来说是非常有用的。
These materials, these materials, some of the terminology can be intimidating for native English speakers, and we're very committed to making sure that we present all of the rights and opportunities and benefits to you so that you have equal access to these, just as other communities need to have access to them around our county.
在今天晚上呢，我们看到那些资料呢，对外行人来说呢是非常的觉得是很大的挑战，所以呢我们尽量用最简易的方法呢来跟大家解释。
So Wolsha Fritz Kagi, I'm your assessor. And I'm going to tell you about two things here tonight. First,
我是Fritz Kagi 先生，是在库克郡地产税务局呢评估处的。 告诉大家2件事。
The 2 things, what we'll tell you about the second part of the presentation here tonight will be about specifically how to get all the benefits that you deserve, how to personally navigate the system for exemptions and appeals and other benefits you can get from our assessment system.
所以呢，经过今天晚上的那个会议之后呢，我希望大家能够了解明白呢，到底有什么程序来申请这个上诉。
But first, I wanted to give you a broader perspective so you can understand how this system works, how our role fits in within the larger property tax system, because we are just one part of it. And we want to give you this information because we think it's useful to help you understand the bigger picture.
首先我用个宏观的方法来让大家看看，你到底呢，我们用什么系统，还有呢，你经过了什么程序，有什么帮助你把这个事情解决。
So we can start with the first slide here.
那我们现在第一件事先告诉大家。
So why do we do assessments? Basically, it is to divide up the amount of revenue that has to be raised in Chicago each year. And we do that with assessments so that each property owner pays the percentage of the amount that has to be collected in proportion to the total amount of property value or assessed value in the city each year.
为什么我们要做评估呢？因为呢，要根据大家在你的房地产所有是根据你的价值，然后呢，让大家有一个平均就是一个公平的能够为市政府或者那个郡政府呢争取那些收入。
And for the system to work properly, we need to do 3 things, and you should remember 3 things. First, remember that the assessments that we do have to reflect the market where it is today, and the market that we saw at the beginning of this year is different from where it was 3 years ago.
最主要呢，我先知道呢，首先的3件事，第一件事情是说，根据法律呢，我们评估应该反映市场的价格，因为市场在过去3年中呢有新的变化。
What we'll show you later is how to make sure that we're estimating the value of your property correctly, but just as important is you making sure that we are estimating the value of all properties correctly so that you're not paying more than your fair share.
大家接下来会看得到呢，我们用什么方法呢，来公正的来评估你的房子到底的价值多少，然后大家呢有个公平的你当付的税。
So that leads to the second point. For the system to be working properly, it's important not only that your assessment be a correct estimate of market value, but also that everyone else's be. The amount of tax that you pay depends on us accurately estimating the value of everyone else's property. If we got it too low for others, you might be paying too much.
所以呢，我们看看你每个人呢所付的税务，是不是跟你附近的人呢所付的都是能够公平的，都是平等的。不然呢说，你旁边的那个房子呢，评估太低的话呢，你可能付的税呢太高啊。
And for this reason, it's important to understand the third point. A change in your assessment does not mean at all the same change in your property taxes.
所以在进入第3点的时候呢，就是说，当你的房子的价值呢增高的时候，不是代表说你的地产税呢就会增加。
If your assessment changes less than the total assessed value in Chicago, your taxes could actually go down.
那如果呢，当你看评估的时候呢，那个地产的税呢减低的时候呢，你的税降低的。
So I'll explain this concept later, but those are 3 important things to remember.
所以这3件事呢是最重要的。
So here you can see on this heat map the estimated single-family property values in Chicago. Now, we realize there are not many single-family homes in this part of the city, that there are more condos and 2 to 6 unit apartment buildings, but these are the average prices for single-family properties.
所以呢，从这张地图上呢，你看到这个地图上很多点有不同的颜色，那你可以告诉你呢， 当你是独立的房地产的时候，这个价值到底是多少？
Most of the single-family properties in this part of Chicago are down, below 31st Street, and you can see, or south of the river, and you can see the prices there. They're in the range of 250,000 to 500,000 in most of the places south of the river, south of the highway. But there are some areas where the prices are over $500,000 and closer to $1 million.
所以大家看，在31街以南，或者在芝加哥河的那个西边，很多都是独立的，但是房子通常那个价格呢都是25万到50万中间。当然有些呢是价格稍微高点。
So we can go to the next slide. An important context to remember, because your assessment is not alone. You are part of the total assessed value, not only in your part of Chicago, but in all of Chicago. You can see that on the blue line, that residential assessed values grew somewhat in this part of Chicago, which is South Chicago. But you can see that non-residential properties grew much more. They almost doubled in this part of Chicago. And then on the dotted line, you can see the total change in value in this part of Chicago went from 7.1 billion to 11.8 billion.
所以呢，大家知道，当你评估你的房子的时候，不是单单只有你一家那个房子，而是你附近的房子呢都互相关联起来的。然后你看，在下面最下面的蓝色的条实线这是11.6兆的这2018年到今年呢是1.7兆。然后呢，当你从那个虚线上面看呢，是所有的那些居民的房子呢是7.1兆到11.8兆。
And why do we show this to you? We know most of you probably don't own commercial property, but you should care about how commercial property is assessed, because if we're estimating its value correctly, and if its value is growing, that can reduce your share of the total tax base as a homeowner.
那为什么我们也把那些商业的房子呢给你们看呢？也就是说，当商业的房子越来越多的时候呢，我们每个人私人住的那个房子住房呢，所分担的税务就减低了。
Now, this picture is just for South Chicago, but you can see that residential values are increasing by much less than commercial values in the base. So that may indicate good news for the tax bill season next year, even though residential assessments went up.
所以大家看那条黄线呢，其实是那个商业的房子的住房。那我们居住的房子呢，不是黄色那条线呢是私人的住宅，虚线呢是商业的住宅。大家看看，商业住宅的增长率是比我们私人的住宅呢高，所以呢，我们付的税呢可能没那么高。
As the assessor, I look closely at what is happening to the property tax base in Chicago to get a sense for what it could mean for average homeowners. And it's not in the slide here, but we're seeing the property tax base in Chicago, all of Chicago, so far this year going up more than 50% so far. And that means, and that is, that's through, we've done about 75% of Chicago. And so with 75% of Chicago sent out so far, the property tax base is up more than 50%. And that means that folks whose assessment is up less than the base, which is currently over 50%, they that can mean good news for the property tax bill next year.
Should
I try that again?
Let me try to.
I don't know.
Test
There is a meeting helping the Chinatown exactly what area.
If everyone else could mute.
我们刚刚的评估呢，75%的那些所有的那个房地产，那大家看到呢，这在过去的几年当中呢，我们增长了50%。
Okay, so we can go to the next slide. here we wanted to show what happened to a typical sale price of home in South Chicago. So you can see that there's been a steady upward trend in the median price for single-family homes in this part of Chicago.
这个图片呢，我们看到这条曲线啊，就是说私人住宅呢都是很平稳的一直在增长。
And you can see the range with the green is sort of where the middle third of all homes sold are. So that line is the homes exactly in the middle of all homes sold. And then on either side of the green line, that's sort of the top third and bottom third. So that gives you an idea of the range of sales prices. So the top third of homes would have sold for a little bit more than $500,000 in 2020. And the bottom third of homes would have sold for about 350,000 or below.
所以大家看看呢，是整个范围啊，那条实线，那条绿色的线呢，就是在中间的那些房子的价钱。那可能最高的时候呢，可能会卖到50万美金。那稍微低一点的话，可能是20几万、30万左右。
And you can see that condos are a little bit lower in price than single-family homes. The median sales price for a condo was $280,000, whereas for a single-family home, it was about $420,000.
那所以大家看看，当那个独立产权公寓，就是我们常说的 condo， 它的售价呢是平均是28万美元。那么当然是比那个我们独立的房子的低，独立的房子呢是平均是42万美元。
Okay, so we can go, but we can go to the next slide. I think it's important to remember that every home is different, so that these are just indicative medians and averages, but we know that every home is different. The key question when you get an assessment is to see, is the property value that we estimated for your home what you think it could sell for in the market today?
所以说我们今天评估呢，就是一些平均的价格，那不是单单只是你自己的问题啊。最大的问题呢，你要问你自己说，你的房地产的估价值呢，是否接近你认为今天你的房子值多少钱？
Okay, we can go to the next slide. Now we are trying to improve our models, improve our estimates of the value of people's homes. And here's a test that we did to see how well our model is doing in predicting the sales of homes. We used our model, and then we compared it to 10% of the sales in this area in 2020. And we think our model is getting better at estimating the value of homes. You can see, especially for the bottom third of homes, we think our model is improving. It used to be that on average, the bottom third of homes would be about 17% overvalued versus actual transactions. But we've reduced that level down to a level that's almost within industry standards. It's still a little bit too high. So on the bottom third of homes, we may be, it shows here maybe 6% over. So especially if you have a home that is sort of towards the bottom of the price scale, you might want to look carefully at our assessment to make sure that it accurately estimated the value of your home. But this is part of the work of the office. You want to make sure that we're estimating the value of every home accurately without bias, no matter if it's a very modest home or a very expensive home.
我们呢尝试呢不断的改良我们评估的模式用来做评估的模式尤其是在底下1/3那些房子的价钱，在去年的2020年的时候呢，大概评估的时候呢，会有超过那个房子的价值的17%。那今年呢，我们在改良我们的模式之后呢，会把它降低到大概是6%左右。
This is for a big group. We hope we got it right for your house too. So we'll get to that soon if we didn't get it right.
所以呢，在这方面呢，那些同胞们呢是有这个价钱的范围呢是最多的，所以我希望说能够为你们省多点钱。
We can go to the next slide. Now, this shows an important thing about assessments. You'll remember that assessments are about deciding each property owner's share of the property tax burden that has to be paid in the city. The yellow area is the amount that is represented in this part of Chicago, South Chicago, by commercial and industrial property. Blue is the part that is represented by homes. In this reassessment, because commercial and industrial are rising faster in value than residential, homeowners' share of the burden is falling from 22% to 15% in this part of Chicago.
所以当大家看这个图片的时候呢，上面黄色那段那个范围呢是那个商业还有工业的那些房地产，那么蓝色的下面呢是我们自己居住的房子。再看2018年的时候呢，当我们在评估的时候呢，这个价格是稍微住宅区是稍微偏高，但是呢那个商业区是稍微偏低。那所以呢，当2021年的时候，我们把它再改良。那还有呢，大家希望说，当那些商业就是非私人住宅的那个产值增加的时候呢，我们每个人私人住宅的分担的税务分担呢会减低了。
Now, I want to caution that we have still 25% of Chicago still to assess, but this trend is what we've seen in the past. Homeowners in our reassessments are bearing less of the burden because we're finding that commercial and industrial properties were tended to have been undervalued in the past, were raising their values, and that is reducing homeowners' share of the burden across the city, sort of fitting a pattern that we've seen in the last 2 years.
大家记得我们还有25%的房地产呢，仍然需要评估。就是希望说，当我们看到那些商业还有工业的房地产呢增长值快的时候呢，我们每一个人私人住宅的那些房东或房屋主呢的那个分担税务的分担呢就会减低。
Okay, we're almost done with the big picture part. We'll go to 2 more slides, and then we'll get to the part where we can give you practical information for how you can navigate the system.
我们现在把那个宏观的资料呢分享完了完了呢，我们再详细一步的那些进展呢告诉大家。
I did want to note that we're not the final word on assessments. There is another county body called the Cook County Board of Review that can further change this balance between residential and non-residential property.
你要知道，我们自己的那个办公室呢，不是单单一个机构呢来评估这些住宅的价钱，那有一些的机构呢也有参与的。
Okay, we can go to the next slide. Here we have a lot more detail on our website for if you want to find more information about homes that sold in your neighborhood, in your part of this region of Chicago. There are about 9,900 single-family homes, about 6,300 2 to 6 flat apartment buildings, and then about 34,000 condo units.
所以呢，在这个表格上呢，我们看到说，去年我们南芝加哥区域就有9900栋的私人住宅在卖，大概是那个价钱呢是在34万到52万之间。那么接下来呢，就下面就是那个condo 是6300间来交易，在最后呢就是那个私人住宅。
What you can do is you can look on our website to get more information about all of these different classes and all the different neighborhoods by going to the valuation report section of the cookcountyassessor.com website.
所以呢，你可以去那个 cookcountyassessor.com 那个网站呢，来查查你那些资料，到底呢你的房子能值多少钱。
If you need help navigating because you need help in Chinese or you don't understand the English material in this part of the website, just contact us and we'll work with one of our partners to get you more information.
如果呢，你们上网的时候呢，对英语的不了解的话呢，我们可以跟我们的一些伙伴有一些伙伴呢，跟你来帮助你们。
Okay, we can go to the next slide. So just really quickly, remember, we are an office where our job is to estimate the value of 1.9 million properties in Cook County. We are only 230 people doing this with valuation models. So that's an important thing to remember because sometimes our models may not have all the information that they need to get the value of your property correct. That's why we have the appeals process, and sometimes we don't have enough information to come up with a good valuation. So that's why we do events like this.
大家知道，我们评估办公厅的那些职任呢，是为我们的郡自己本身呢190万块地产呢是一个公平的标准的那个价值。当然，每一个人的这房子呢都有一些大同小异，或者有一些比较特殊的这些情况。那如果呢，你觉得呢，我们帮你评估的时候过高，所以呢，我们才有这个上诉的机会。也趁着今天晚上呢，给大家一个座谈会呢，来告诉大家这信息。
Okay, we can go to the next slide. The other thing that our office does besides estimate the value of your home is give you extra property tax savings by putting on exemptions. If you own a home or if you're a senior citizen, you're entitled to additional exemptions that can reduce your property tax bill, and we'll talk about that tonight too.
当然呢，我们除了那个公平的评估之外呢，我们还有给大家有一个机会，就是当房地产税呢有个豁免的申请，你可能有一些是年老的或者是特殊的情况的话呢，可以豁免那些特殊的情况呢，降低你房地产税。
So we can go to the next slide. Okay, so at this point, we're going to enter the very practical part of this session, where I'm going to give it to my colleague who can explain to you how the appeals process works and how you can navigate the system best for yourself. I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Hector. Ni hao, Hector.
我们现在呢就是把这个时间呢交给 Hector 先生，然后他会把一些具体的那些流程呢告诉我们。
Thank you guys so much for having me tonight.
谢谢大家给我的今天晚上的这个机会。
Thank you, Assessor, for having me tonight.
谢谢的Kiki 先生呢给我一个机会呢来参与这些会议。
With my portion, I'm going to help you guys understand and learn how to file your appeal.
我会帮助大家呢到底要怎么提出你的上诉。
So the first thing you need to know that filing an appeal is free when you appeal with our office.
我告诉大家，当你经过我们的办公厅帮你填写上诉文件呢，是免费的。
All you need to appeal is a valid email address.
所以你第一件事情呢要做的，你需要有一个正式的电子邮件地址。
It's best for you to appeal as soon as your township opens.
最好的时候呢，在你的区域呢开放的30天之内呢提出上诉。
We do have a link to our calendar that will be put in the chat section super soon, so you can keep.
我们在聊天窗呢会放一个链接的那些信息给你的。
When you are filing your appeal, you can start your appeal, you can save your appeal, and you can edit your appeal and upload attachments.
所以呢，当你提出上诉的时候呢，开始起草，然后呢可以保存，然后再修改，然后再上载那个文件。
And now attachments can be submitted after your appeal has been submitted as a secondary attachment.
如果呢，当你上载了之后呢，还有再继续有新的那个资料进来呢，你可以在上诉之后再提交第二份的附件。
You're doing a good job, Victor.
Try my best.
So on your left, you will see a reassessment notice, which is sent from our office. And on the right, you will see a tax bill, which is sent from the treasurer's office.
你收到2封信，第一封信呢，就是你住宅评税的通知书，然后这是在你左手边，在你右手边呢，就是我们从你办公厅出来的那个税单。
The reassessment notice at the very bottom has your deadline for your appeal.
在你的通知书，就是那个评税通知书下面呢，就是你的最后的期限呢，怎么提出上诉的期限。
Yeah, and reassessment notice and reassessments happen every 3 years.
我们这样做的话呢，那个评估呢是每3年做一次。
The first installment tax bill is 55% of the previous year's entire tax bill.
你会收到2份税单，第一份的税单呢，就是说你在第一次付的税呢，就是过去那个是你全年的55%。
And all of your discounts, any reduction from any appeals, and your exemptions or certificate of heirs will be shown on your second installment tax bill.
所以当第一期你缴了费之后呢，你再提出上诉，如果你有豁免的话呢，第2期呢的税单就反映出呢你所有豁免上诉的结果，然后呢认证了你评估的价值等等。
Here is where you can find the deadline for your specific township. This is going to be in the chat box as well.
这里呢你会看到你评估的日历呢，还有截止的日期，然后呢是在我们的聊天室呢也有告诉你。
Michelle just put the link in the chat box.
我们有位女士呢 ，Michelle 小姐呢，刚刚把这个链接呢放在我们的聊天窗里面。
We also have a nice little video that will walk you through how to file an appeal online as well.
我们还有一个非常有用的短片呢，会放在网上，会帮助你呢怎么走过这个流程。
So there are many reasons why someone might want to appeal.
当然有很多原因呢，为什么我们要提出上诉？
I'm going to go over the 3 most common.
我会把3个最常见的原因告诉大家。
The first one is lack of uniformity.
第一个原因就是说缺乏统一性。
That means me and Victor live on the same block, house built by the same person, but for whatever reason, my value is greater than his, and I want to know why.
我跟Hector 是住在同一条路上，那为什么我们评估下来的价值呢不一样？我要付的税呢比他高。
I want to know why our homes are not, why are they not uniform?
那我会问问为什么我们的评估呢没有一个统一性？
The second reason is overvaluation. That's probably everybody here.
第2个原因呢，就是说我们的房子的价值呢会高估了，可能是每个人当中都是一模一样。
Yeah, this means you think there's no way my property is worth this much.
那我想说，我根本没有可能呢，我现在的房子呢会有那么贵、那么高的价值。
The third reason is incorrect property description or property description error.
那或者呢，你会看到有不正确的财产描述，或者呢，你所讲出来那个房子呢，那个建筑呢是不对的。
This means there is a factual error.
所以就告诉你说，这是在政治的原因底下呢犯出错误。
This means our office says you have a single family home, but you really have a condo. Or our office says you have 2,000 square feet, but you really have 1,200 square feet.
那只是说，可能你那个房子的面积只有1200平方，但是呢，那个税务单呢是告诉你说有2000平方。
Also, if you have a question, please wait until we're done. Or if you're like me and you're forgetful, you can write it in the chat box right now.
那如果有问题的话呢，我们在跟大家分享的信息之后呢，你可以在你的聊天码上呢再回答你的问题。
Another thing you can do with an appeal is you can provide comparable properties. You do not need to do that because our office will find them for you. However, you can if you want to.
当然呢，当你要提出上诉的时候，你要找到跟你差不多的那些房地产那些房子呢，来跟你做比较，你可以自己找。但是呢，我们的办公厅呢已经为你做了这件事情。
The tool that we use is called a Cook Viewer Interactive Map.
我们在做的用这个软件呢，这叫 Cook Viewer Interaction Map.
And I am putting it in the chat box right now.
那我现在把它放在聊天窗里面。
Boom, it's in there. All right, so now filing your appeal.
好，现在就告诉大家怎么来建立你的递上你的那个上诉。
When you go to file your appeal, each tab has a set of questions that you should answer.
当你要提出上诉之前呢，你每一个点节呢都有一连串的问题呢，你要回答的。
If you have multiple PIN numbers for the same property, you want to add those PIN numbers here where it says additional PINs.
如果你的房子呢，你自己那个号码就是在房地产上面那个编号，每一栋房子呢都只有一个编号而已。
Yeah. And if you have attachments like pictures, like appraisals, like sale analysis, or comparable properties, you want to add those here where it says attachments and then upload them where they go.
那如果你要加上附件呢，尤其是那些证据看到别人卖的房子大概多少钱或者呢你找别的人呢给你估价的时候多少钱，有一些照片那些资料等等呢，你可以把它放在附件上，是放在 attach 上面。
Sorry, reviewing the presentation. Now, exemptions, also known as discounts.
好，首先我们讲到那个豁免，或者呢是叫做那个这是打折。
We have the homeowner exemption, which is for anyone who owned the property January 1 of 2020.
就是说我们有你的是房主你自己的房子是从2020年1月份开始呢，就是那个房子是你的。
The senior citizen exemption is for anyone who was born in 1955 or before.
长者呢的豁免呢，就在所有人生在1955年以前。
The senior freeze is the same thing, except there's an income cap of $65,000 as a total household income. Sorry.
我们看到一个符合资格的长者地税免征呢，就是说，当你的收入不超过65000块的年金。
Persons with disability, there's an application we give to you to give to the doctor. The doctor fills that out, and then you bring it back to us.
残疾人士就是说，我们把这个申请表格呢交给你，然后呢，你就交给你的医生，然后你的医生呢证明说你到底哪一方面呢有残疾的。
Returning veteran is for any veteran who's returning from active duty for the year they return and for 1 year after.
退伍军人就是说他哪一年呢退下来，就是说如果是2020年的话呢，就是2020年退伍，或者是2021年退伍的。
The long-time exemption, I'm sorry, the veteran with disabilities exemption is for any veteran with a service-connected disability of 30% or greater.
残疾的退伍军人，就是说他有残疾的，就是他减掉了，这是30%的减税。
The long time exemption is for anyone who owned and occupied their property for 10 consecutive years, and they do not make more than 100,000 as a total household income. And there is a math equation that our office will do to see if you qualify.
长期的房主呢，就是看说，如果呢你住在那栋房子自住的也好，出租也好，超过10年的起码10年的，还有呢，你用那样房子呢所赚的钱呢，不超过10万块钱。然后还有一些呢，我们要自己的那个办公厅要为你做一些评估。
Yeah, and then the home improvement exemption is for anyone who does improvements on their property up to $75,000. Anything greater than $75,000 you are responsible for, but you are covered up to $75,000.
所以呢，有些人呢，你在你的房子里面呢做一些装潢呢装修的，如果呢那些钱不超过75000块钱的，我们可以补助你。如果超过的话呢，你自己要负责。
Next, I want to show you where you can find your exemptions on your tax bill.
在你的那个税单上呢，你看看你从什么地方能够看到你的豁免的税。
On your tax bill, under tax calculator, you'll see this area right here highlighted in red.
所以当你看到你的税务计算的时候呢，你会看到有一个小方格，就是用红线圈起来的小方格，是告诉你这些资料。
If you are receiving exemptions, they'll be listed right here like it shows in the example.
如果你收到那个豁免税的话，你会在这里呢会列出来的。
What happens if you are missing any exemptions?
我们现在问题的问题说，如果呢你错过了房地产税的那些豁免的机会。
That's easy. All you have to do is file a certificate of error, and we can go back all the way to 2017. So we can do 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020.
没关系，就是你可以呢追回你过去3年的错过的豁免机会。
Here is our website, cookcountyassessor.com.
这是我们的网站，就是 cookcountyassessor.com。
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
那如果你追随着我们的话呢，你知道我们的资料这个信息。
And now, David or Victor, whoever wants to start the Q&A, I am ready.
OK， 现在呢，我们是回答这是问题回答的时间，大家有什么问题呢？
Hi, yes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question. So, like my mom, she is qualified. She's born before 1955, and she's quite qualified for the senior exemption. However, the exemption is not applied on the property tax bill, and I did fill out a form for her for the certificate of error, and I wonder if I would need to do that every year. And I'm just not sure if this senior exemption will automatically applied, or do we have to apply it? Yeah, I tried to look online to find the application for the senior exemption, but I couldn't find it, or at least I cannot find the application form. All I can find is the certificate of error form to fill out.
Yeah， 这个小姐的问题说，她的母亲呢，就是在1955年以前出生的，那么她就是如果有资格的申请那个老子的，就是长子的豁免权豁免税。然后呢，但是呢，在网上呢找来找去呢，都找不到这个申请表格。然后呢，另外问题是说，如果我申请之后呢，是不是我每年都需要申请，或者是申请一次呢，每年呢都是自动的给我豁免权呢？ OK，
So if your mom is missing the senior citizen exemption, all she has to do is file for a certificate of error, and which is this slide right here, if you guys can still see my screen, and that will be processed. And once it's processed, it will be automatically applied going forward.
So that
所以
means
呢，
that you don't need to separately apply for the senior exemption, right? After they've applied for the certificate of error, the senior exemption will be applied.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
No problem.
所以呢，就是说，如果呢你错过这个机会的话呢，你可以在网上申请一份表格呢，就是说错误就是反正的那个表格，然后呢就自动的退回来，不用再申请那个长子的豁免税。
So Hector, the next question is from Robert. How do you apply for the home improvement exemption?
Hello.
Oh,
I have
okay.
a question.
No. Here. David just asked a question. David,
Yeah,
what's the question again?
So someone wrote in the chat, how do you apply for the home improvement exemption?
有人呢在那个聊天室上面就问说，我们怎么能够申请呢？就是那个装修的那个费用。
So when you pull permits on your property, once those permits are pulled, they are sent to our office, and then our office will see if your permits qualify for the home improvement exemption. This is not an exemption you need to apply for. Just by pulling the permits, our office will then do the rest.
或者当你房子呢装修的时候，你可以去市政府呢，或者是那个郡政府那边申请就是我们的装修批准准许书。如果你申请的时候呢，我们的办公厅就很自然的收到你的申请书，然后就看看你到不到你合格来得到这个免税。
So for listeners out there, that means that you have to do the kind of renovation that requires a building permit. And then the nature of that building permit is reported to us. And then that building permit, if the construction activity applies for this home improvement exemption, then it's applied by our office.
也就是说，当你做这个装修呢，那个面积呢是非常大的，尤其是动到那个结构的问题。所以呢，当你要申请这个准许书的时候，去市政府呢，或者是那个郡政府申请这个申请书的时候呢，它会自动把这个申请书呢也会送给我们的。
Okay, we'll take a question from Ju Bao. Can you unmute and ask your question?
Yes, I have a few questions. First of all, I would like to know for the appeal, could the appeal apply for go to appeal in person?
这个小姐的问题就是说，我们上诉呢，可不可以说我亲自去那个办公厅去上诉的？
Yeah, because I have some like a condition or could answer the question interactively or just try to explain some, for detail.
这个小姐认为呢，说如果面对面的话呢，就比较容易解释她那些问题，她是需要的。
You want to answer that one, boss, or no?
Hector, why don't you take it first, and then I'll see if I have anything to add.
Okay. So what you can do is you can go to our office downtown and ask for an appeal application and fill it out. And if you have any questions, someone at the counter may be able to help you. But we are suggesting that taxpayers do this online so that there is a way to track this information and you can get your results quicker than waiting on the mail.
And just to build.
But therefore, then there's no chance on not such a setting, we can go in person.
I didn't understand that last part.
Okay, let me try to contextualize.
Okay.
She wants to be like go there in person to conduct business.
Yeah.
Once you fill out the form, whatever, say yay and nay, you can like reject, either accept right away instead of like, okay, go home and wait, turn in the application form, go home and wait for the result.
Oh, no. So the results are, you will not get your result immediately. That's why we ask people to do it online so that once the results come out, they can be emailed to you versus the the appeal being processed, and then you have to wait for that to be put in the mail, and then you have to wait for the mail to go out, and then you have to wait for the mail to be received by you. It's
So
much
therefore,
quicker to do it online.
Therefore, there's a no hearing, right? I remember in the prior years, you can go for hearing.
The hearings are with the Cook County Board of Review, not the Cook County Assessor's Office.
I see, I got it. And my second question is why the presentation say even your assessment value increase, but your tax may not necessarily increase. I don't get it.
I can take that. Actually, so for your first question, I wanted to add that you can make an appointment at our office to talk, if you want to talk to a person, if there's some special circumstances
Sure, yeah.
about your home. So you can make an appointment, but as Hector said, we don't give you a decision on the spot because our analysts look at all these appeals together so that everyone can be treated in the same way.
I understand. How could I make the appointment then?
There, you can call our office, or there's an online appointment system right on the website.
I got you. And,
so I wanted to tell you a little bit more about how can your assessment go up, but your tax go down. We do not have fixed rates. There's no fixed tax rate in Cook County or in Illinois. So that's why your assessment can go up, but your tax bill can go down, because your assessment can go up, but the rates can go down, and that can lead your bill to be lower even if your assessment goes up. And the key context for this is how much is everyone else's assessment going up compared to yours? Because there is a fixed amount of dollars that are collected every year. It only grows by a little bit every year. And if everyone else's value is going up a lot, and this year the tax base is up 50%, that can mean that if your assessment is going up less than the base, and so far that's 50%, it might change, but if your assessment is only up 10 or 20%, that means that there's a pretty good chance that your bill will be lower next year, even though your assessment is higher. And that's why, because you have a smaller share of the overall amount of money that has to be collected in Chicago each year. So if your value goes up some, but the base is going up more, your share of the base is smaller, and so your share of the amount of money that has to be collected is smaller. And so that's how your bill can go down even though your assessment goes up.
OK， 关于呢，这位小姐呢问说，我们可不可以在见对面或者约定要见什么人的话呢？那可以给先生说，你可以自己呢在网上来约，或者打电话进去约见面。那另外呢，关于说你的房子，虽然说你评估起来你的房子的价值呢增加，但是你的税反而呢降低，是什么原因呢？要看看，虽然你的房子呢那个价值呢在增长，但是呢，在你旁边的房子或者整个区域的房子呢，增长的比你更快，而且变成说你自己能够分担这个地产税呢，那个负担呢就会降低，所以变成了你的税务呢会降低的。
I still don't get it. Because the rate is a fix, and when the base is higher,
the rate is not fixed.
The rate is not fixed.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay. My third question is my mom and dad, they both are elderly, and my daddy and mommy, and they live separately, but they are both senior. And however, they only have one house be able to apply for the senior exemption, and only one house can apply for the homeowner exemption. So how we can resolve that?
OK， 这个小姐的问题说，我爸爸妈妈是那个长子他们已经离婚了，但是呢住在同一家那个房子里面。那么如果要申请这个长子的豁免税的话呢，到底怎么分呢？因为每一家房子呢只是申请一份。
不是的，我的意思不是这样，是我爸爸妈妈都老了，他们没有离婚，但是他们已经分居很久了。他们住在各自的房子里面，但是他们只能一个房子 可以拿到那个 Senior Exemption， 而且只有同一个房子可以拿到那个 Homeowner Exemption。
哦 ，OK， 所以你没有离婚的话呢，当然是只是算一个单位嘛，对不对？
但是州政府的那个州税里面，它是允许spouse 的话，他们 each own their own property。They also get the tax exemption. I mean tax deduction.
So Cesar, do you understand the question?
So do they own two separate homes?
Yes, because they separate, but however they did not divorce, and they live in their own house. But however now, since my daddy older, he got the elderly the senior exemption, and also he got the homeowner exemption. But my mom did not get anything.
And are there two different homes which are their main residences?
Yes, they did that for a long time already.
Well, Hector, I may be wrong, but I think each one of them would qualify for their own homeowners and own senior exemption, wouldn't they?
Well, in Cook County, if you're not legally divorced, you are considered one. So if they are not divorced, only one can get the exemption. If they are divorced, then both can get the exemptions.
Well,
Better
because that.
translate.
好，因为呢，小姐，你的父母亲没有离婚，所以呢，就是说没有正式离婚的话呢，就是说每一个人，就是每一户只是得到一份那个豁免。
好的，好，那谢谢了，
Okay, there's a lot of questions.
The state sets the rules on the exemptions. We don't. We just apply the state's rules. So it's not like we want people to get divorced.
It seems only Cook County has that.
Actually, I think we should. I would like to look into this. I hadn't heard about this distinction before, but we'll look into it. Let's get down your contact information, and we'll get back to you, and we'll find this out. I'd like to find this out myself.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, how could I follow up?
No, Jubal, there's a couple people in this call who have assessor's office next to the name. Can you just private message them your email and they could follow up?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's a couple questions about
I've been
email.
answering them while we were talking to other taxpayers.
Oh, okay, but we'll just ask for everyone.
Yep,
Do you need separate emails for different properties? And then can you use your email for your elderly parents' property, or do you have to have an attorney authorization form?
So I can file for my, I can file for myself if I have more than one property. But to file for my parents, I believe you do need an authorization form because I'm not the owner of that property.
Okay, Victor, you can translate that.
OK， 这个问题说，如果呢，我有自己的房子，然后呢，我其他的亲戚呢也有房子的话，那么是不是每一栋房子呢都要有自己一个专门用的电子邮箱？那么 Hector 的回答是说，我个人如果我有3-4栋房子的话，我可以用一个电子邮箱、电子信箱啊。但是呢，如果我为其他人来做这些事情来上诉的话呢，每一个呢都需要不同的那个信箱。
So there's a question about if they paid property tax and then they apply for this appeal or get a past exemption, do they get a refund?
Excellent question. So this appeal that you're doing right now has nothing to do with the tax bill you just paid. Any reduction from this appeal, the 2021 appeal, will be reflected on the 2021 tax bill, which will be issued in 2022.
问题是说，我今天呢申请那个上诉的话，如果成功了，是不是呢？我有钱会退回来？Hector 的回答说不是的。 就说今年呢，如果你上诉成功的话，也就是说你会看到你2021年的税，就是你明年2022年的你会收到，你会看到你的税务呢会减低的。
Okay, Simon Shu can unmute and ask your question, and then we'll have Robert after that. Simon? Okay, we'll go with Robert first if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's see, a couple questions. Number one, how do you apply for the long-term homeowners exemption? Are they supposed to send us on an application, or are we supposed to go to the office and get one?
Translate and then me, or you want me to go first? Do you guys want me to answer, or do you want me to wait for the translation?
Victor,
Victor.
Okay, okay. Long term.
Yeah.
Can you ask a question again? Sorry, I've been looking
Sure.
at the other.
First, how do you apply for the long-term homeowners exemption?
OK，你怎么申请的那个长期那个房主的豁免？
Okay, so the long-time exemption is actually something our office does for you. So if you qualify, our office would have sent you an application. If you believe we made a mistake, then all you have to do is contact our office. I'm going to put that in the chat box right now, and we can look this up for you.
Okay.
这关于呢怎么叫做长期的，就是以我们刚才已经告诉你的，大概你在那边呢有住了10年以上的，那或者呢你觉得有错误的话呢，他可以帮你呢看看。
Oh, you want to type my address, you mean? We can.
No. So what I am doing is right now in the chat, I'm going to drop a link that we will ask you for your PIN number, for your address, for your phone number. That way we can contact you directly.
Oh, okay.
所以呢，我要把你的那个偏好、你的地址呢，写下来。
I just put it in there.
Just put it in there. Oh, okay. Office. Okay. Okay. All right. And my next thing is I do own if I own a condo, and what's going on with the condo is they're going to get a lawyer to represent all of us for every homeowner in the association. And how do you check to simply see the progress if this lawyer is how they're doing?
Go ahead, Victor. I'll answer after you translate.
OK， 如果我有那个 condo 的话呢，通常是由我们的那个房屋协会会有一个律师呢帮我们申请的。那我自己怎么能够看到我的进展到什么程度呢？
So when you hire an attorney, you are trusting them to do what you are paying them to do. So there is no way for us to intervene because we're not part of that contract. So if you are hiring an attorney, you have to do your due diligence to go in and see if they are doing the job that you paid them to do. All we can do on our end is let you know if an appeal was submitted or not, and if it has been processed or not. But as far as their success rate, or if they did a good job or anything like that, we can't help you with that.
How do you check if they file? I guess I should have said this way. How do you check they did file an appeal or not?
There are multiple ways for you to check, but the two quickest is for you to go to our website, cookcountyassessor.com, put in your PIN number, and just look at the appeal status. Or you can contact us directly with the link that I just put in the chat box, and then we can respond that way as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
OK， 还可以回答这位先生的问题呢，就是说，如果你请律师来办事的话呢，就是说你要交给他办，就是对我们的办公厅来讲呢，我们根本是没有可能呢在当中呢会接触到什么，会参与什么的。那如果呢，你真的要检查你自己的那个进展到什么程度的话呢，你可以去这个评估区办公厅的那个网站去看看把你的偏好、你的地址放进去，看看有没有什么进展。
So I think the assessor's office opinion is they've made the appeal process simple enough so that you don't have to go hire a lawyer. But is there any situations where it might be advisable to find a lawyer to help us in this appeal assessment appeal process? Victor,
OK， 我现在翻译为那个David 翻译，就是说那个地产的那个评估办公厅，他已经把那个整个流程呢很简单的告诉我们，是不是有些人呢是有些特殊的问题的话呢，一定要非请律师不可呢？到底是什么情况 ？Go ahead, Hector.
So, you don't need to hire an attorney. However, if you have a condo building with more than 4 units, then maybe you want to hire an attorney. If you have multiple properties and you don't feel comfortable filling this information out on your own, then you may want to hire an attorney. But for the most part, there is no need to hire one. I literally just walked you through the process, and all of the questions are yes and no answers.
如果呢你是一个独立房子的话呢，你根本不需要聘请任何的律师。但是呢，如果呢你有4栋房子，或者有了一个4个独立产权公寓或者呢你觉得自己呢不是那么舒服来自己做这些事情的话呢，你可以请那个律师。那么 Hector 呢很乐意的就是告诉你呢那个步骤应该怎么做。
Okay, we'll take a question from Simon Xu.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have 2 questions. I believe the long-term owner, you have to be 10 years plus your income has to be 100,000 or lower, right? To qualify.
Correct.
Okay. My real question is my building is supposed to be 36 years old, but when I look at online, they say 33 years old. How I update it? Or does it make any difference?
So,
OK，
oh, my bad.
这个
I'm
问
sorry. Go ahead.
OK， 这个问题是说我们叫做什么？叫做长期的屋主这个先生呢，他的房子呢是36年，但是呢，当他进到那个什么那个评估的办公厅里面呢，看到呢说是34年，那到底是怎么能够把它更改呢？
All right, so I forgot the question. What was the question again?
Oh, my building on the record is 33 years
33,
old,
yes.
and then supposed to be 36. Does it make a difference, older, cheaper?
For sure. So the answer is no, it does not matter. However, if you want to change that, all you would have to do is when you're filing your appeal, you would want to click on, let me show you. Give me a second. Let me find it. Incorrect property description. Wait, can you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so incorrect property description, and you would just correct that. You would click age and write 33 instead of 30, or 36 instead of 33, but it doesn't matter.
OK， 所以先生说，如果呢你要更改的话，你可以去我们的网站，然后就查到一个叫做 incorrect property description， 不正确的财产描述，然后呢可以把它更改到那个网站上呢讲是33年，把它改到正确的36年。那关于呢你的房子的那个年份长久呢多新多旧呢，跟你的税务呢是没有多大的关联。
One more question. How can I prove just say my income is under 100,000? Do you have to look at my 1040?
Go ahead, Victor.
Yeah， 这位先生说，你怎么能够确定呢？我的收入是少过10万块钱的？你是不是看我的那个报税表？这是1040的报税表。
The long-time exemption has an income verification form. That information is on your income tax returns. So that's how we would tell your income.
Thank you.
那张表格呢，就是说有一个叫做你的收入的证明，然后呢就看看你报税呢跟你收入的证明填下去的资料呢是不是吻合。
Okay, let me do a question from the chat. Someone bought a downtown condo at 33% off of the price that the seller bought it in 2014. They bought it just recently in November 2020. Should I try to appeal for the property tax according to the price I bought? And then which property tax or which year property tax should I be appealing? So
Okay.
Victor.
他这里有个问题说，有人呢买了那个一个独立产权的公寓，就是 condo， 就是用它大概是弃值的价钱呢买回来。那到底呢那个评估税的时候是以那种房子的价值呢，真正的评估的价值呢，我只我买的价值来评估，那怎么来上诉呢？
So this is not legal help, right? This is just my opinion. If you purchased your property in 2020 and it's for less than what our office says it's worth, I would submit my appeal with my closing documentation, my appraisal, my sales analysis, everything from the closing to try to prove that no, my property is not worth this much. It's actually worth this much, and here's the reason why.
Because your purchase is good evidence of what the actual market value of your home is. That's probably some of the best evidence there is.
所以呢，回答你的问题就是，你要把你买卖所签的合约，然后所买的价格，然后呢是有别人你自己的付钱去请人来帮你评估这个房子值多少钱。当你买的时候，把整套文件、整份文件呢送进去这个办公厅里面，那以他们来证明说 ，OK， 你的房子呢根本不像他们所评估的值那么高的价钱。
Okay, I'll do another one from the chat. Basically, there are some properties that raise more than 50%, and then, but during the pandemic, a lot of homeowners suffered. So how do you justify such a large increase in the reassessment?
OK， 那个问题就是说，是当疫情的期间，我们的房子的价钱呢看起来好像掉了很多，或者是收入呢减少了很多。但是呢，当评估那个税务的评估呢来的时候呢，收到那个账单、那个税单是增长了50%。那你有什么理由的能够增长那么多呢？
So the assessments were all based as earlier when the assessor was speaking on a mass appraisal system. So that number that property has was not just pulled out of the air. It's based on other properties similar to it in the same area that have sold for that much and then averaged out.
所以呢，你看看，你是讲到那个房子，你看到那个税单不是单单针对你自己的房子，还是它平均起来然后呢，来评估，再拿一个平均分，就是你旁边的人呢到底是卖多少钱，值多少钱呢，来计算你的税务的。
Okay, the next question. Can we have both the homeowner's exemption and the long-time owner's exemption, or just one?
另外一个问题是说，我们可不可以有那个房主的那个豁免权，或者还有呢，加上那个长期房主的豁免权，或者呢，我只是取其中的一个。
Yes, you can definitely apply as long as you qualify. You can apply for the homeowner and the long-time exemption and receive both of them.
不错，你有这样的权利，你可以申请。那如果呢，你有资格的话，你可以申请是房主的豁免，还有呢，长期房主的豁免权一起。
I'm also going to put a list or the link for the exemptions and all the requirements in the contacts in the chat box right now.
我把那个所有的链接会放在那个聊天窗里面的。
So there was a chat about comparable properties for our appeal. Like, do we need the PIN? And then if we don't have any comparable properties, would our appeal be viewed as not as complete or not as effective of an appeal?
Excellent question. So you do not need to provide our office with comparable properties, right? We talked about that earlier where our office is going to find them for you. However, if you want to submit your own, you absolutely have the right to do so. So in short, no, you do not need to provide us with comparables.
这刚才这先生问说，如果呢我要找其他的那些房子那个地价呢，跟我自己的房子来做个比较的话，我是不是要找别人的偏好跟我做起对比的其他的资料？那海克说不用，我们的那个办公厅呢已经帮你做了这些事情。
Okay, we'll take a couple of the people who raise their hands. Shumei, you could unmute.
Hello， 你好。
你好。
你好，我就说普通话吧，因为我的英文不好。
Okay, go ahead.
就是这样的，我们的房子呢是今年6月份才成交的，就是有没有就是规定要住满1年才可以申请那个上诉呢？
Okay, the question is, we just closing our house this June. Do I need to stay in the same house for 1 year in order to have right to appeal?
Great question. You can appeal as soon as you are the owner of the property, as long as your township is open.
没问题，就说你住进去的那天开始，你有权利的申请那个上诉。
好，然后我们有收到那个，就是他让我们上诉那个信件，也有那个表，就是我们如果不在网上填，就是直接在他寄那份表填，也可以上诉吗？
Okay. The question is, she have been receiving the appeal letter, the form. Should she fill out the form manually and send it into your office? It's still good as online.
Is it still just as good as online? Yes. However, her results may be delayed just due to mail. So if she wants to get it in a timely fashion, she should definitely apply online. Submit online, sorry.
OK， 小姐，就是说你可以在自己呢用那个笔来填，填完之后呢寄进去。但是呢，还是建议说，如果你有可能的话呢，尽量在网上来申请，因为呢，你可能会寄信呢会延迟呢，或者是落的。那如果你在网上呢是比较快的。
Okay, thank you. Our next question is going to be from Patrick.
OK， 请问一下，我可不可以问问题？我叫 Helen， 我可不可以问一下我的 property？ 可以问吗？我是 Helen Gao。Can I ask question?
Go ahead.
Helen, okay, go ahead.
Okay, Helen. Okay. I use 普通话 Chinese。就是我在那个 North Sheridan Road 有一间那个 multi property building 哈，是那个叫做什么多 multi family house 啊。那这个房子是我和我的先生I and my husband owned. We are joint owner. And我是66岁的，我是 senior， 然后 my husband 也是 senior 哈。那但是我是那个 green card permanent resident, and my husband is Taiwanese. He is not American citizen. He is not permanent resident, but I am permanent resident of the United States. 那这样子我可以 appeal 吗？ appeal 这个 property tax 那个减税吗？
Okay. The question is, this lady, she just bought multiple unit buildings with her husband. She is a permanent resident. She's a senior, 66-year-old, and also her husband as well. She's a permanent resident of the U.S., but her husband is a citizen of Taiwan.
Yeah, Taiwanese. Yeah, citizen of Taiwan.
Citizen of
yes.
Taiwan, yes.
Yes.
Is she be able to apply for the appeal?
Absolutely. Our office, it doesn't matter what your status is here, as long as you are the owner of the property, you can appeal.
So
That's very important to know. We find in many communities that people are worried about their citizenship status and not asserting their rights as residents. And regardless of your citizenship, if you own property, you have the same rights as everyone else to appeal.
OK， 这可以给先生讲了，不论你的身份是什么，是公民、是居民，或者是那个非居民也好，你都有权利的来申请上诉的。
Does anyone spot any other questions that we haven't asked?
I do want to give a shout out to Michelle. She has been destroying these questions in the chat box. She's been answering them as soon as they pop up.
我们真的非常谢谢 Michelle， 她把这些问题呢都放在那个聊天窗里面的。
And I wanted to thank David, our host, and especially Victor, our Tyler's translator,
Absolutely.
for doing such a great job. This is challenging material, and I just wanted to thank everyone.
So can you just review the timeline? So that when's the due date, and then when would South Chicago Township appeals be decided?
Give me 1 second. That information is right.
And I see Alderman Thompson here. Welcome, Alderman.
Thank you, Assessor. I've been listening the whole time. I too, I guess we're coming to the end. I want to thank you. I want to thank Hector and your staff for putting this webinar on, and I think it's very helpful and informative. And I encourage all of my neighbors in the 11th Ward, but throughout, to do file the appeal. As the assessor mentioned and his staff talked about, they'll help through the process. You just need to make sure you apply, even if you don't have comparables. They'll take care of it, and they'll do that for you because they're trying to get the most accurate assessment. Absolutely. It's a big county, it's a big city, and so the first pass that they do is their best efforts. But when they get specific appeal requests, then they can dive in a little bit and do more specific to your property. So I encourage everyone to take advantage of the help that you'll receive from the assessor's office. And thank you again, Assessor.
Yeah, Hector, do you have that information?
Yeah, for sure. So South Chicago Township, your opening and closing dates are September 30th until November 1st.
You'll get your appeal in by November 1st. And as Alderman Thompson said, you don't have to provide your own comparables. It's very easy to appeal. Just provide your name, your email, your PIN, and just answer a couple of questions, and that's all you need to do.
Absolutely.
我们上述的这个窗口呢，到11月1号呢就会关闭了，所以呢，希望大家呢争取这个机会，在网站上呢来上诉。